Hello YouTube, it's December 30th. Continuing with my dev vlog, and currently watching a video here. One of the very few sources I could find on Imperator scripting guide, made by Imperator Modding channel. So if any of this interests you, I recommend you follow this guy. So let's take a look.
I don't know what this does. I'm not really sure. All of them have it though, so you should probably use it.
Hold on a second. Let's see. I want to make sure I get audio. It's coming from my mic. Property. Hold on. Try this.
Chance. This is the AI chance that the AI character will pick this scheme. You can put modifiers to modify the AI behavior here. And here we have the on action. Well, there's a modifier. So this modifier is given to the character during the duration of the scheme. So they'll have it for this 365 days. And this is the important part of schemes. So each ambition sets several on actions. I'll search for this one. So there's 3 of them. You can have 4 of them, I guess. You can have it on monthly, that fires every month, on start, on finish, and on abort, which are just ways to respond to different things that happen during the event or during the scheme. And then you just run your effects. There's all kinds of things you can do. That is ambition. Let's look at buildings. Buildings are easy. They just have a modifier, your cost, the time, potential, and allow. You can set AI behavior and max amount. There's modification display. This determines the order that the modifiers will show up in on the GUI. That's building. It's really simple. Let's look at character interactions. So this is they were nice enough to write a file for this. So this is a basic character interaction. Let's say it's just Mary, I don't know. You can send a message on another nation, does make sense. This is a trigger if it's the potential. Character interactions have 2 hard-coded scopes that are sensitive. It's scope actor and scope target. The actor, as you can see from this comment, is the country that it's happening on. So if you do it on other nation, it'll be the other nation. And if you do on own nation, the actor will be your nation. Target is always the character that you're using the interaction on. Then we have allowed triggers. And then there are these character target actor triggers and character target triggers. These can be more than just characters. They can also be a country target or actor trigger and a province target or actor trigger. And what these do is it opens up a GUI menu that allows the player to select a scope and send that scope to the next effect and it would save it when it's selected as scope : recipient, as you can see here. And then you just put a trigger in and it actually builds a list, and you just select from the list based on this trigger. That's pretty much all there is to character interactions. So moving on, coat of arms. I'm not going to go over all of this. I'm just going to show how to make a quick new flag. So this, we see the Roman flag. If you hover here, you can see the colors. Basically, they just have colored emblems. You can give them an instance in which you can change the rotation, the size, other things. Yeah, you see the scale here of the colored emblems. Colored emblems are basically these kind of files. They have two colors in them. This pink and this yellow color, when you make them, they're fairly straightforward to make. And then, as you can see here, this SEL, this corresponds to the country tag. So this will be given to the Seleucids at the beginning of the game. There are also, as you can see, so this one doesn't have a specific country it's given to at the beginning of the game, and that's because it's given during the game using the change country flag effect. So that's flags. Moving on. We don't need to talk about combat tactics or cultures. Well, let's go into cultures. So cultures have a color. Who gives a fuck about colors? There's levy templates. This is for culture groups. You can also define a levy template per culture. And it basically just defines the army composition of that particular culture. There's primary, second, and flank. These are very important. Make sure you set these, and they correspond to like roughly the ratios given in the levy template. It's not perfect, but it's alright. These are always the same. You can define male names, female names, and family names for cultures. Whoa. And then barbarian names. There's the graphical culture. The graphical culture is usually what determines things like what kind of city building models they're going to get and what kind of unit models they'll have. It can do other things, like port models as well. You set an ethnicity for them. All cultures need an ethnicity. This basically determines how their portraits look. So like Romans will look Roman, Africans will look African, stuff like that. And then you just define the cultures, just like this. It's very simple. That is culture. Custom localization is an important part, very important. It's hard to explain though. So here we have a custom localization. And it's called, as you can see here, in localization with this .custom function. And this .custom function is available for all scopes. And you basically call it like this. So you see the get treatable disease. And then we can see it here. What this does is it evaluates all of these triggers. And based on which trigger is true, it will return a different set of text.
Whoa. What?
So they have it set up to where this returns, the treatable illness that you currently have. You can also do entirely different localization keys. So here we have different medical accident types. This is basically, it's a great way to get dynamic flavor in, especially for localization, like based on the culture group or stuff like that. Death reasons, I don't know why I'm going to look at these, but yeah, this is death. Deities, can tell you all about these, but I guess I will. So we got triggers. There's two triggers. There's polytheistic. Yeah.
Weird.
This is the standard trigger. Most of them look like this. You can do whatever you want. It can be more, but this is like the basic one that a lot of them have. You give an icon. This is corresponding to the TD category, usually. There's a lot of icons to pick from, though. You have a passive modifier. This is applied at all times in Omen. This is the bonus you get when you pick the deity. The deity religion, the trigger for deification, the category the deity belongs to. This is pretty fucking self-explanatory. And then unactivate. So you can, what this means is if a deity is deified, it runs these effects when they're activated. It should be called on deity activated. This is a dumbass name. And then you just run effects like this. There's lots of them to pick from. Diplo stances. You're probably never gonna ever need to use these, but it's just a modifier in an AI field. That's that. Let's go down. Event pictures. Event pictures are very cool. Great part of Imperator Realm. They go hand in hand with event themes. So event themes they can have an icon. It's unused in vanilla. Do not use it. It won't do anything unless you set it up. And they have a sound effect. The theme is basically just what defines a sound effect. And then here are the event pictures. So here's an example of an event picture called City Country. And it has the Hubbub theme, which you can see here. Uses this. Sound effect. And each picture you can define like this with a separate trigger and give like a different texture based on, the trigger. So you show a different picture in different situations. That's event pictures. Let's see. We're going to go to governments. Governments are easy. So you define what kind of idea slots that they get. This can be maximum of 4 because there's only 4 idea slots in the UI. The type of government it is. This is Republic, Monarchy, or Tribal. I don't think there's another one. No, I don't see one. So, and then there's a bonus. The bonus, this is the bonus that you get when you have these military idea groups. This is the base modifier given at all times. That's self-explanatory. That's governments. Government policies. This is basically just a modifier on the state that they govern. And then the AI chance to do it. Yep. I'm not going to go over any of this great work stuff. Here's heritages. These are basically just a modifier and a trigger. So you give a modifier. Heritages always have, it's not like a rule, but They all do. They have 2 good modifiers and 1 bad modifier, and they have a trigger. Ideas. You won't ever have to change these. They just have a trigger modifier. Inventions are slightly more involved, so they have a couple of fields. This is basically everything. So they have an on activate. You can run an effect when a
What's going on here?
there's a modifier that the invention gives. What the requirement, like the previous invention requirements are. You can set whether it's a keystone. A keystone gives, like, I don't know, it just looks different in the UI. And you can also set a specific icon with an icon override like this. Those are inventions. They're very easy. Laws. Laws are very similar to inventions. They just have a modifier. As you can see, they're grouped into law groups. So each law has several groups within it. So we have the potential for this law group is tribal, and then you have the several laws within the group that each have an allow and a modifier, and they can also optionally have this on enact. That is laws. Lead-in distinctions. These are really just modifiers, again, like many other things. You have an icon, a commander modifier, which is just a character modifier, and a unit modifier.
That's weird.
Loyalty. I fucking hate loyalties. So the way they set up loyalty in this game is to change the loyalty of a character, you have to use this add loyalty effect, which adds a loyalty that you define in common / loyalties like this. You basically just give it a time, like the loyalty value. This is basically the loyalty of a character. And then you have to localize this as well, or it'll look very bad. That is loyalty. Military traditions. These are fairly straightforward. Image color for the whole tree, and allow for the whole tree. This is usually just a few culture groups, maybe some other things. Let's look at province names. So you can define specific province names for culture groups, tags like specific countries or just cultures. You basically just make a file with the culture group, culture or tag name, and you define provinces like this. So this is province ID 285, and then this is the localization key for it. So you need to put this in a loc file like this, for example. That's province names. Very easy. Religions. Religions have color, modifier. Category. Categories are fairly confusing. Typically, all all you ever want to do is use the Pantheon category and don't even think about using another one. You can set if they can deify the sacrifice icon and sound. That's pretty much it for religions. Script values are another important part of the script system. So, this is the info file for the script values. It's the only well-written info file in the entire base game. So here we have a named script value. You can set a base value at 0, and you can add, subtract, multiply, divide, modulo. These are all just math operations. If you have a fucking brain, you understand these. These ones are a little bit confusing. So this basically returns a random number in a range with two numbers. This one's for fixed point, this one's for integer. You never ever need to use this one. Very, extremely rarely. Most of the time you just need integer range. Operations are executed in the order they're defined. You can inline script math. This is very useful and can be used practically everywhere. This kind of logic. Yep, you can chain script math as well, just like I was showing with the scope chaining earlier. Integer ranges. Yeah, you can use lists. So if I wanted to count all of the countries, or all of the armies in a country, say, or add 1 gold for every army, you would do it like this. That is script math. It's very important to understand script math. It's like a really essential part of the game. Scripted effects. Yet another important part of the game. Extremely important for scripting. You need to know these. So scripted effect is basically like a function with several arguments. And the arguments, the only data type that they can possibly be is a string. And you can have as many arguments as you want. So I'm going to define a scripted effect called my effect. And in this scripted effect, I'm going to add treasury, and then if number equals 1, number is just the argument that I'm passing in here. This can be anything at all. It's just like it could be XYZ, it could be butt poop, it doesn't matter. It's just a string, it's one of your arguments. If it's 1, you add treasury. And then I could keep doing if statements like this on and on for 2 and 3. I could add more arguments with different values. And that's how you would define the scripted effect. So when you actually go to call the scripted effect, you have to call it with the exact same arguments and the exact same number of arguments that the scripted effect is defined with, or it won't recognize it. So here we have, I'm passing in my numbers to the scripted effect, and this would actually run this effect. You can use this in a different file. So say I was over here and I just declared this in my scripted effects file, I could do that. That's the power of scripted effects. It allows you to reuse chunks of code so you don't have to repeat yourself a million times, which is very important. Let's go to scripted. I'm going to go to scripted triggers next because they're very similar to scripted effects. They're essentially the exact same thing, except they're triggers instead of effects. And here is how I would define an example scripted trigger. And here's how I would use one. You can also use it without arguments. If you have no arguments, the usage is simply my trigger equals yes. And that is scripted triggers and scripted functions or scripted effects. Please use them. We're going to look at scripted GUIs next. These are actually, we're just going to skip those. If you know what they are, you know what they are. If you don't, you don't. 1 second. Put on my computer. Alright, these are scripted lists. Scripted lists are I guess there are ways to create your own iterators, like any, every, ordered, and stuff like that. So here's an example. That's a really complicated example. Here's an example of a simple scripted list that creates any, every, ordered trade center that functions as every provinces that has any of these modifiers. So now that I have this defined in my scripted list folder, I can now use every trade center to iterate over all trade centers, and it works. And it'll just iterate over every, as you can see, there's a base. The base is a little bit confusing. So you see it's region province. So it's based on this iterator that is a hard-coded iterator. It's in vanilla. And you use that as the base. You take the every or the any off, and you put it in like that. So what this does is it iterates through every region province that has these modifiers in the region scope. That's scripted lists. I wouldn't use them ever. The only time you should use them is if you find like you have a big piece of code that's extremely slow. Scripted lists can actually improve performance. I'm going to skip scripted modifiers because nobody uses those. Subject types. Subject types are, I'm not even going to talk about those. They're fucking annoying. If you need to make one, you'll figure it out. Terrain types. Got your basic terrain. This is just like everything else. You just have a modifier. Titles are all hard-coded. Don't worry about those. Trade goods. Trade goods all have a color. Country modifier. This is the modifier that you get when you have a surplus in your capital. Yeah. And then they also have the province modifier that you get when you just import it to a province. The gold cost and the category. Traits. There are character traits. There are several kinds. We have status traits. Status traits aren't automatically applied. You basically use them in events. There's there's two other kinds. There's personality traits. These ones are automatically given to characters. You don't even have to do anything with it. And then there's also health traits. You can set a trait as congenial, evidently. I'm not sure how that works. I don't think it's like a guaranteed chance of inheritance, but it's like low. These are character modifiers, and then you have military traits. In the character traits, you can give modifiers for units and the country, and these are the basic one is just character modifiers. Traits.
Goes in tight.
We look at war goals. Last one. In common. So you can make custom war goals, and they do work. However, you cannot make new war goal types. So typically, what you'll want to do is if you make a new war goal, it's going to want to use the superiority. So you just have this. Use a Civil War conquest. You know what that is? It's basically the Daidoki War style. That makes a big difference. There's an allow trigger. This is like what makes it show up in the window. Like, are you allowed to even use this war? There's the conquer cost for defender and attacker. You can adjust that. And there's ticking war score. I wouldn't mess with that one. I don't know what it does. But you can use these war goals in script with the declare war with war goal effect. And it looks something like this. I don't think I did it exactly right. Like this. So this would declare Imperial Conquest War on Carthage. Cool. We're done with the common folder. There's only a few more things I want to look at. We have decisions. These are very easy. They're also very annoying to mod because they do not dynamically reload. Country decisions. So you need this line. I don't know why. Then you need to wrap the whole folder in this, or whole file, in this country decisions. You define each decision just has a potential highlights provinces, allow, facts, AI. That's decisions. They're very easy. Now we're going to look at events. So here is a basic country event. Pretend this is an event file. So in event files, you need to first declare a namespace at the very top of the event file that defines like what the events in the file actually are. Events have type, title, description. You can have dynamic descriptions. Somehow. Yeah, it would be like, this is the syntax. So you can either have just a simple description that returns like the same one always, or you can have a dynamic one with several triggers that returns a different description based on a certain trigger here. You can set a picture. This is just all of the event pictures that we looked at earlier. Using one of these that has special triggers, I'll give like a cultural specific one that's appropriate. Can be good for some events. You can set a left and a right portrait. You can set 3 of each of these. So you can set 3 left portraits and 3 right portraits in total. You got a trigger for the event. This is what makes the event happen. These are important. Make sure they're not too slow, and make sure that your trigger roughly mirrors your immediate. So here's an example. Say I wanted to make an event that checks if any character has 99 popularity, right? And then in my immediate, I want to save a random character with 99 popularity. And then I also, there's one more field that I'm not showing here. Can't spell. So you can save the character's location, and then you can do this go to underscore. I don't remember what it's called. Of course I don't. Go to location. And this will add a little button to the top right of the event that'll you can click on that'll pan to the where the event is. And then you have options. Yep. Options can have several things. You can have this highlight. This will highlight the option like in a different, I don't know, color scheme, I guess. It looks cooler. Exclusive. This will, if the trigger for this is true, this will be the only option that they're allowed to take. And then there's also the trigger. And the option is just a basic effect field like all the others. That is events. There's a few other things you can do that I will show. So if you wanted, you could have a, you don't want, the base is a country event, it's just normal for most of them, which means that the event is supposed to be in the country scope. You could also have state events, province events, character events. I believe you could do this for any scope, but those are the only ones that I've used. Your events can also be hidden. So a hidden event would just look like this. You don't need any options, you don't need any of the other stuff. All you need is an immediate, a trigger, and a type. And this hidden equals yes line. I think that's all I wanted to go over. I'm going to go over the localization system real quick, I guess. Actually, no, I'm not. You understand it.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I want to.
Julie, I start. This guy created his own. Oh, wow. Okay. He created a Julii, Brudii, and a Scipii start. I like it.
Talk about anything else? That is Imperator Modding. Goodbye.
Alright.
Thanks to Purdue Global.
Let's get rid of that. Oh.
Okay, this is the full guide to.
Thanks to Purdue Global.
Who's this guy? Jimmy Game Dev. Let's see.
Hi Hi everyone, why do so many indie games have zero slopes in them? In my last video, I was complaining about programming slope physics, and I mentioned how a lot of games don't bother having slopes in them at all. I got some flack in the comments for including Hollow Knight in this list, which is technically fair. I wasn't counting the slanted ceilings the game uses, nor the few angled walls you slide off of, mostly because those don't require complicated physics like normal slopes do. But I included the game in the list because there are no slopes you can actually walk on in the entirety of Hollow Knight. Literally, the whole game uses just flat ground. Some might think that these elevator tops are the sole exception in the game, but actually, yeah, they totally faked it. These are actually invisible moving platforms that move as you do to fake the slope. This bit on the end might look walkable, but nope, if you try to stand on it, you just jankily slide off. It might look like an insane choice for the developers to do this instead of just programming slopes to work normally, but honestly, it makes sense. Speaking from experience, dealing with walkable slopes is way more annoying than you would think. The main issues are animations and physics. Getting a character to place its feet and move correctly on a slope takes some real time in adding solutions and bug fixing everything, and it's not just the player. Enemies, NPCs, and physics objects all need to work too. I've been making an indie game, and trust me, they're my arch nemesis. They're a pain in the ass. Wishlist Imperator joining on Steam, by the way. Hollow Knight has over 150 enemies in it. Having to program and animate all those interactions with slopes would have taken forever, so it was probably a good call to just not do that and leave the game with just flat ground. And to be fair, it's not like the game really needs walkable slopes. A lesser game might look blocky or flat without any slopes to break up its environments, but Hollow Knight still manages a natural look by using a ton of those slanted ceilings and the rare angled wall, which are way easier to implement than anything walkable. There's also a ton of slopes and round shapes in the backgrounds and foregrounds of the game, and there's a lot of places where spikes cover what would normally be a slope, so the player can't try and walk on it. If you ever wondered why all the elevators and rooftops in the City of Tears are covered in spikes, this is why. All of these solutions are way quicker to make than walkable slopes, and fix the blockiness issue without so much work. Slopes just not being worth it is probably the reason why most of these games don't have slopes in them, by the way. Don't get me wrong, for some games, slopes are great. Something like a Sonic game or Tiny Wings really needs them for gameplay. A game like Grease really benefits from their aesthetic, and I know my game really needed them to handle physics objects in certain puzzles. Wishlist on Steam, by the way, but many games don't really need slopes, and it can be a real time saver to skip them. If you hide it well and use tricks to avoid the blockiness problem, a lot of players won't even notice they're gone. Hollow Knight might use backgrounds to show more natural shapes, or Spelunky can visually round the edges of tiles. Pixel art or voxel art styles can lean into a blocky aesthetic to look natural without slopes, although even those games will often include slanted background or foreground elements to get some visual variety. Weirder solutions exist too. Thomas Pose alone just tilts the camera on every single level to make it look like everything's on a slope, which is insane, but it makes the game look way better. All of these developers are incredibly competent, and could definitely have added slopes to their games if they really wanted to, but because slopes are annoying and take so much time, they likely just spent that time on tasks they felt were more important instead. Like making one of the best Metroidvanias of all time. Seems like it was a good idea. By the way, Hollow Knight's sequel, Silksong, recently released after 7 whole years of development time. So what took them so long? Well, this past April, in the first new gameplay footage the developers released for the game in literal years, what was one of the first things they showed? That's right, it was slopes. Am I saying that slopes are the reason why this game took 7 years to make? Okay, definitely not, but it would have been funny. Hi everyone, why do so many indie games...
Thanks to Purdue Global, I got my literal
Imperator Modding, folks. Imperator Modding. There's a couple new videos here.
Okay, I'm going to make a short tutorial on how to install Imperator tools and Victoria 3 tools, as well as Sublime Plus for the Sublime text editor, so you can do Imperator Rome or Victoria 3 scripting easier. So the first thing you want to do is come over to my GitHub repository at github.com/dimensive/Imperator tools. Go here, download the zip file. This is going to take me a long time. I'm not going to show it because my internet is just slow. You know how to download a file. So you open up Sublime. After you have your file downloaded, you go to Browse Packages here, and then you're going to want to take that Imperator Tool zip file and unzip it in here into the Sublime Text 3 Packages folder. So it should look like this when you click into it. You see the whole file structure of the whole plugin here. And then after you do that, you're going to do the same thing for my Sublime Plus plugin. It's the exact same procedure. You go download the zip and go into Sublime here, go to the packages, and then unzip it in here, and it should be here. And once you click into it, you should see structure like this. The Victoria 3 tools installation is the exact same. As you can see, it's right here. You just download the zip, put it in this packages folder. So now that we have them installed, let's look at how to configure the plugins. So you go to Sublime, you go up to this main menu on the top, and you go to Preferences, and you go down to Package Settings, and there'll be a section here for Imperator Tools, Sublime Plus, and everything you just downloaded. So we're going to look at Imperator Tools first. So two things that are absolutely essential. All of these settings down here are optional. They just determine how the program works. These two settings you need to set. This is the path to the game files, like the Imperator game files, and these are the paths to your mods. Load order matters, so if you have a mod that depends on something from one mod, make sure you put it after the dependency. That's the settings for Imperator. Victoria 3 settings are very similar, but there's a little bit more because it handles more stuff. If you're doing Imperator scripting and you're working with a GUI or shaders, same thing for Crusader Kings 2, Crusader Kings 3. The GUI syntax for Victoria 3 tools is what you want. So I have this set up currently to, well, I guess I don't. So let's do it. So if I wanted to use this only for Imperator and I didn't want to use any of the Victoria 3 scripting features, what I would do is come in here and set this path to be empty. Put nothing in here. This is for shaders. This won't matter for 99% of people. And then you set your GUI base game path, because this is like a separate path for the GUI system in this plugin, to the Imperator files, and then you GUI mods, and then you make sure you set this disable Victoria 3 scripting features to false, or it will just do a lot of unnecessary stuff because you're not using the scripting features. But if you are, then of course set this stuff just like you would for the Imperator tools, and that is how the configuration works for both of those. Now let's go into the Sublime Plus configuration, which is a little bit more complicated because it does a lot more. So there are a lot of settings. Sublime Plus is basically my all-in-one plugin for Sublime. I went through and put in everything that you could possibly need in Sublime all into one plugin, so you don't have to think about it. There's a lot of settings here. I think these are optimal settings. You probably don't have to change these unless you want to read through it, do it to how you like it. You're going to have to go in here in the Sublime Plus next in the package settings and go into key binding. These aren't set for you automatically. So you'll get a view like this when you first open up this window. It'll be empty.
don't know what I'm doing. Huh. Sublime settings.
Empty on this side, and it'll have this comment. So what you do is you press Control A to select the entire thing. Copy it, paste it, Control A again, and then do Control backslash or question mark to uncomment that whole block. And then you'll have all of the key bindings that I use. These are good key bindings. You don't have to do this, but I like it. It's how I go about things. So that's the configuration. Once you have Sublime Plus set up, I highly recommend you go here, because the default theme for Sublime is very ugly in my opinion. I've made my own themes, a couple custom themes. There's the brackets theme. This is the one I mostly use. This is like the theme for the whole UI. And then there's the Dementive theme. I also made this one.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. Kind of trying to follow in this guy's footsteps, but don't recall if I'm doing it correctly, so trying to double check how to do stuff. Yeah, I might have to call it here until I can figure out what I'm doing. Dang it. Yeah. So I was using this guy's tools, and over time, I think my computer, something happened, and I had to reboot, and I don't know if I had the setup that I installed. I mean, I have the editor that he uses, but I don't recall if I installed the plugin correctly. And I don't know how much that matters or not with the plugin, but it seems to be what he's been using here. But yeah, I just been working without a plugin, I think, unless it's on here somewhere. It just does like syntax highlighting and auto completion, stuff like that, like any editor would use. And it looks like it's picking up the text here, but it's not syntax highlighting, so it's not really working. You know, it's just text though. So I mean, it doesn't really do anything. You know. So if it's syntax. That's just the settings file. Shoot, yeah. I really don't remember. um, yeah. I mean, I could still code and mod without those tools. It's just trying to figure out like what I'd be like missing, you know, like if I'd be that like disadvantaged on the code.
And then there is a GitHub dark theme.
He has.
It should just make things look better. And then I also, if you go here to preferences and go to select color scheme, there's about 60 color schemes that come with Sublime Plus that I made, I've adjusted. They're all very good. All of these Dimensive ones are the ones that I usually go with. I usually go with Dimensive Light. It's the one that I use. Doesn't matter. So that's the basic configuration for Sublime Plus and all my plugins. Now let's go into some basic Sublime text things and how I do my workflow. So projects in Sublime are very, they're great. They help you organize your stuff. So I just close that project, right? Now, let's make a new project. As you can see, there's nothing in the sidebar here. So to make a project, what you do, say I want to make a Imperator Invictus project. I would take the Invictus folder, just drag it into Sublime, and it'll show up in your sidebar here. And then you can go up here and save project as. What I do is I have a folder specifically for my Sublime Text projects, because I have several of them. And then you can name this. And then you'll be able to, if you use the Alt-W command, Alt-W key binding, or you go up here and you go to Project, Open Switch Project, you can go between all of your existing projects, and you can see I have all of my Imperator stuff here. So I put all my Imperator mods over here. This is my Imperator project, and that's just a good way to organize your things, I think. So now we'll go into package control, because this is like the system for how you get other packages in Sublime. So you'll go Ctrl-shift-P and type in install package control. This won't show up for me because I already have it installed. So you'll just install package control. It'll take a couple minutes maybe, I don't know. Two packages I highly recommend are, after you have it installed, you go to, let's see, package control install package like this. I highly recommend you get, well, I guess they're not showing up because I already have them installed. So it would be here. This one, a file icon, and Terminus. Terminus is like an actual terminal. A file icon, you see all these file icons over here? They would just be blank without it. And Terminus lets you open up, a terminal. And I'm not on Linux, so I don't know any of the commands here. Okay, that's pretty much how I do Sublime and how to install all of my tools. After the dependency, it's here into the Sublime Text 3 packages folder, as well as Sublime Plus for the Sublime Text editor. You can do Imperator Rome or Victoria 3 scripting easier. So the first thing you want to do is come over to my GitHub repository at github.com/dementive/Imperator tools. Go here, download the zip file. This is going to take me a long time. I'm not going to show it because my internet is just slow. You know how to download a file. So you open up Sublime. After you have your file downloaded, you go to Browse Packages here, and then you're going to want to take that Imperator Tools zip file and unzip it in here into the Sublime Text 3 Packages folder.
Okay, I can do this. Go to his GitHub, download his files. I can do that. GitHub. Okay. GitHub. Let's follow, where is it? Sublime? No, Sublime. Tools. No, I gotta go. I don't own that. That's not me. goes dementive. Dementive? Dementive. Let me see. Dementive Imperator tools. Boom. Dementive. Imperator tools. Imperator tools. Dementive. Imperator tools. How to install. Run the following script in a Sublime text terminal. Boom. Easy get clone for easy installation. Clone Gemini tools and Imperator tools packages. Okay. Copy that. And control. Control D. Is that how I do it? Boom. Already exists. Okay. So I think it was already there. I'm not sure. So it says, oops. Put that in there, boom. It already exists. So I guess it's good. It's good. Okay. So oh, here it is. Package settings, Imperator tools, settings. Okay. I can't see this. I have to go to where are we at? There we go. Okay. Huh. Now I'm on Linux. I don't know if it works on Linux. Didn't ask. Says it has auto completion, useful commands. Wonder if I uninstall it and then I could reinstall it. Huh. Syntax highlighting. And your mods will be automatically highlighted. Main menu view syntax. Imperator tools. Main menu, view, syntax highlighting. And view. Syntax highlighting. Germany. PDX Germany. View. PDX shader. Ooh. View. Imperator. What was it? Reconstructed. Germany assist. There's another one in here. Where is it? Imperator tools, right? Oh, here it is. Imperator. I select all of them? Hold on. Okay, I could only do like certain ones. Huh. Imperator script. What the heck? Yeah. How do I do it for all of them? Yeah. Let's go preferences. Syntax specific. Alright. For TXT, for YAML files, Imperator localization. Oh, that's the default syntax for TXT. YAML for Imperator localization. Log files use log syntax. For GUI files use Imperator GUI. For asset files use Germany asset. Huh. No way. Ctrl-shift-P, huh? What the heck? Create new missions? Whoa, what? What is this? The hell? Shit's insane. Character event. Weird. Huh. Oh, type in Imperator. Okay, let me try that. Ctrl-shift-P, type in Imperator. Okay, so I got wiki. Brings up the wiki. Ah, that's handy. I got the wiki right here. I can start looking at stuff. We could look at missions. Look at that. Missions are tasks that can be completed for certain bonuses and rewards, ranging from claims and pops to special modifiers. Holy shit, I'm liking it. I'm liking this shit. Alright. Gonna take a bio break. Be right back. Holy shit. I'm back. I discovered some deep shit here. I forgot I already installed the plugins, but the good news is I don't know if they're up to date, but we'll see. Freaking look at this, dude. The wiki. Got missions right here. You get national missions. Boom. Group missions. Boom. Generic missions. I'm all about the missions. Well, let's check this shit out right here. I'm gonna go back. We're all about modding. Boom. Here we go. Here's the Sublime text, Sublime tools. See, that's what we got. Oops. Sublime tools. Boom. Oh! And hey, look what we got here. We got Snow Crystal. Official. Helpful tools when scripting Imperator. Color highlighting, completion, snippets. I'm not sure what those are. Oh, this looks kind of cool. This must be maybe a newer version. Oh, it's 2019. What's this? Let's just check that out later. I don't want to mess with that. Okay. Let's go back. Alright. So we got kind of something working on here. If we do that little thing again. Oops. Yeah, I did control shift key. There we go. Imperator. We got create new missions. Imperator script. There we go. I gotta set the highlighting. All it does is highlight the equal sign. Doesn't do shit. Oh, YAML, I gotta do localization. There we go. And then localization on that one. YAMLs are localization. Logs are, they said for logs we do log syntax. Okay. Defines, we're supposed to do Imperator script. P Imperator script. Okay. Regions. We're doing Imperator script. Okay. So we got trigger. Different things here. Race region. Huh. Europa era namespace. Type character. Ah, interesting. If there's like a typo in one of these, I'm not sure what that means. That's a little bit. Oh, it's like a little. The namespace character. Title description. Thrace region. Huh. Not sure if I just messed something up there. Oh boy. That looks like a different format entirely. Yeah, that doesn't look normal. I think if I just delete all that, I'll be fine. Yeah. There. Okay, yeah, that file should just have like little areas in it. I accidentally inserted something on my regions. Okay. Kind of beautifies everything a little bit. Nice. Okay. Oh. Let's go back over here. What's going on here?
This is going to take me a long time. I'm not going to show it because my internet is just slow.
Holy shit.
You know how to download a file? So you open up Sublime. After you have your file downloaded, you go to Browse Packages here, and then you're going to want to take that Imperator Tools zip file and unzip it in here into the Sublime Text 3 Packages folder. So it should look like this when you click into it. You see the whole file structure of the whole plugin here. And then after you do that, you're going to do the same thing for my Sublime Plus plugin. It's the exact same procedure. You go download the zip and go into Sublime here, go to the packages, and then unzip it in here. And it should be here. And once you click into it, you should see the structure like this. The Victoria 3 installation, tools installation is the exact same. As you can see, it's right here. You just download the zip, put it in this packages folder. So now that we have them installed, let's look at how to configure the plugins. So you go to Sublime, you go up to this main menu on the top, and you go to Preferences, and you go down to Package Settings, and there'll be a section here for Imperator Tools, Sublime Plus, and everything you just downloaded. So we're going to look at Imperator Tools first. So two things that are absolutely essential. All of these settings down here are optional. They just determine how the program works. These two settings you need to set. This is the path to the game files, like the Imperator game files, and these are the paths to your mods. Load order matters, so if you have a mod that depends on something from one mod, make sure you put it after the dependency. That's the settings for Imperator. Victoria 3 settings are very similar, but there's a little bit more because it handles more stuff. If you're doing Imperator scripting and you're working with the GUI or shaders, same thing for Crusader Kings 2, Crusader Kings 3. The GUI syntax for Victoria 3 tools is what you want. So I have this set up currently to, well, I guess I don't. So let's do it. So if I wanted to use this only for Imperator and I didn't want to use any of the Victoria 3 scripting features, what I would do is come in here and set this path to be empty. Put nothing in here. This is for shaders. This won't matter for 99% of people. And then you set your GUI base game path, because this is like a separate path for the GUI system in this plugin, to the Imperator files, and then you GUI mods, and then you make sure you set this disable Victoria 3 scripting features to false, or it will just do a lot of unnecessary stuff because you're not using the scripting features. But if you are, then of course set this stuff just like you would for the Imperator tools. And that is how the configuration works for both of those. Now let's go into the Sublime Plus configuration, which is a little bit more complicated because it does a lot more. So there are a lot of settings. Sublime Plus is basically my all-in-one plugin for Sublime. I went through and put in everything that you could possibly need in Sublime all into one plugin, so you don't have to think about it. There's a lot of settings here. I think these are optimal settings. You probably don't have to change these unless you want to read through it, do it to how you like it. You're going to have to go in here in the Sublime Plus next in the package settings and go into key binding. These aren't set for you automatically. So you'll get a view like this when you first open up this window. It'll be empty on this side and it'll have this comment. So what you do is you press Ctrl-A to select the entire thing. Copy it, paste it, Control A again, and then do Control backslash or question mark to uncomment that whole block. And then you'll have all of the key bindings that I use. These are good key bindings. You don't have to do this, but I like it. It's how I go about things. So.
Let's try it. Let's try this shit, man. Where are we at? Yeah. What's it? Tools. Project preferences. Key bindings. Oh, is that the right one? No, that's not the right one. Project tools. Oh shit. Settings. Huh. Yeah, those really don't apply to me. Where's he at? Package settings, Sublime Tools, key bindings. Under packages. Packages. Preferences. Package settings, Imperator tools. No. Font. Tools. What? Preferences. Package settings. Preferences. Package settings. Imperator tools. I just see Imperator tools and settings. Imperator tools, settings, package tools. The settings. Oh, there's no key bindings. What? Package settings, Sublime Plus. Sublime Plus. Oh, Sublime Plus. I don't know if I have Sublime Plus. The fuck? Preferences, package settings. I got Imperator tools. I don't have Sublime Plus. Oh, that's what I don't have. Incredible.
Plus next in the package settings and go into key binding. These aren't set for you automatically. So you'll get a view like this when you first open up this window. It'll be empty on this side and it'll have this comment. So what you do is you press Control A to select the entire thing. Copy it, paste it, Control A again, and then do Control backslash or question mark to uncomment that whole block. And then you'll have all of the key bindings that I use. These are good key bindings. You don't have to do this, but I like it. It's how I go about things. So that's the configuration. Once you have Sublime Plus set up, I highly recommend you go here, because the default theme for Sublime is very ugly in my opinion. I've made my own themes, a couple custom themes. There's the brackets theme. This is the one I mostly use. This is like the theme for the whole UI. And then there's the Dementive theme. I also made this one. And then there is a GitHub Dark theme. It should just make things look better. And then I also, if you go here, preferences, and go to select color scheme, there's about 60 color schemes that come with Sublime Plus that I made, I've adjusted. They're all very good. All of these Dementive ones are the ones that I usually go with. I usually go with Dementive Light. This is the one that I use. Doesn't matter. So that's the basic configuration for Sublime Plus and all my plugins. Now let's go into some basic Sublime text things and how I do my workflow. So projects in Sublime are very, they're great. They help you organize your stuff. So I just closed that project, right? Now let's make a new project. As you can see, there's nothing in the sidebar here. So to make a project, what you do, say I want to make a Imperator Invictus project. I would take the Invictus folder, just drag it into Sublime, and it'll show up in your sidebar here. And then you can go up here and save project as. What I do is I have a folder specifically for my Sublime Text projects, because I have several of them. And then you can name this. And then you'll be able to, if you use the Alt-W command, Alt-W key binding, or you go up here and you go to Project, Open Switch Project, you can go between all of your existing projects, and you can see I have all of my Imperator stuff here. So I put all my Imperator mods over here. This is my Imperator project. And that's just a good way to organize your things, I think. So now we'll go into package control, because this is like the system for how you get other packages in Sublime. So you'll go Ctrl-shift-P and type in install package control. This won't show up for me because I already have it installed. So you'll just install package control. It'll take a couple minutes maybe, I don't know. Two packages I highly recommend are, after you have it installed, you go to, let's see, package control install package like this. I highly recommend you get, well, I guess they're not showing up because I already have them installed. So it would be here. This one, a file icon, and Terminus. Terminus is like an actual terminal. A file icon, you see all these file icons over here? They would just be blank without it. And Terminus lets you open up, a terminal. And I'm not on Linux, so I don't know any of the commands here. Okay, that's pretty much how I do Sublime and how to install all of my tools.
Cool. You guys are genius. Oh shit. Whoa. Holy shit. You guys are genius. What's this?
This is the real me, and this is an AI replacement. The background
Holy
is real,
shit.
the AI character is not. But we can
AI.
flip it. Real person. Hello, my smart and talented friends, and welcome to the Global Science Network. I'm going to show you how to download a large language model that was trained on what would be equivalent to reading 127 million novels or reading through all of Wikipedia 2,500 times. This model can be downloaded and run on an external flash drive that you can buy from Amazon for around $12.
Holy shit. We'll have to deal with that later. Alright. Well, I'm gonna have to take a break here and do some gaming, I think. So, alright, signing off. Bye bye.